Hey, it's Dave Wyman from Bob, Dave, and More. Time for Football 101. And I know a lot of people, Seahawks 7-2, and I know a lot of people concerned about the defense and some of the plays that were given up, especially in the passing game. Took a look at a couple of zone coverages that the Seahawks ran. I don't think there's any problem with their personnel. I don't think the linebackers are slowing down. I think they have the right guys out there. I don't think adding anyone, certainly a pass rush, would help. But really, more than anything, I think it's about how they play zones. I think these things are easily fixable. So this was actually a play that went for about 17 yards. It was the first play of the game. And it was 1st and 10 on the 25-yard line. And the Seahawks are in cover 3. So basically, that just means that there's 3 guys deep in the deep part of the field. And then you got 4 guys dropping underneath. Meanwhile, these 4, of course, are rushing. They're just rushing 4. They're not blitzing. So this guy, corner, comes up. He bails, and he's got the deep third back here. Free safety, of course. He's got the deep third. And then this corner plays it kind of tight, and basically he's responsible for anything there. For these guys underneath, they have kind of rules. So you know these 4 guys have to cover the 53 1/3 yards wide, width-wise. So their rules are this guy pushes to number 1. So the numbering system is, and this is how I was taught zone defense. Seahawks might do it differently, but this is number 1 from outside. This is number 2 from outside. On the other side, same thing. Number 1 outside. This is number 2. And so these guys are trying to, this backer is trying to push to number 2. And this the safety, Bradley McDougall, is trying to push to number 1. So what happens in this route as it develops is this running back kind of cheats out of the backfield, and then he goes here. Meanwhile, Mike Evans runs a route here. So now what you have is there's a new number 1 and a new number 2. So he was number 1, now he becomes number 2. And this guy who was number 2, the number 2 receiver, actually it was, this guy would be number 2, but he blocked. So now this guy becomes the number 2 guy, and then eventually he goes out and he becomes the most outside guy, which would make him number 1. So they're just kind of targets or areas on the field where they're playing zone, but they want to try to crowd players, and they just didn't do that on this one. And what happened was this linebacker got kind of sucked up with a little run fake here, and then it was too late for him to get back here. So safety was where he needed to be, and backer just needed to push a little bit further out here. But you just saw it looked like a really easy throw for Jameis Winston. But look, this is just an awareness thing of, hey, look, I got to bust my tail to get out of here and get underneath this route. So I know a lot of people think that there has been some completions behind the linebackers in front of the deep coverage guys. And really, that's just a little thing that you can clean up in film. So, and I'm not saying that they're necessarily going to do it. I'm not saying that this is going to be something that's easy for them to fix. But, you know, this looks like something that, you know, I would have done in film and gone, man, I gotta try to bust my butt out of there and get underneath this guy and make it a harder throw, because for Jameis Winston, it was really just kind of a pitch and catch, really. So, and we got a new board here, flips over. How about that? And on this side, we've got a play that was in the 4th quarter, 1st and 10 on the Tampa Bay 29. Same type of concept. They were running cover 2. Right now they have a nickel in. They don't have the 3 linebackers like they did in the previous play. But same sort of thing, except that now you've got just 2 guys covering the deep part of the field. Free safety on one half, strong safety on the other. And then these corners they'll run with this guy if he runs vertical, but basically they're playing underneath the zone. Same thing here, backer, nickel, corner. So, and same thing here, you have like your numbering system. So for this linebacker here, he would be pushing to number 3. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And so what happens is he drops back here, and I thought both the nickel and the linebacker were maybe ones that could have done a little bit better, but you got a route run by the inside guy. Once again, it was Mike Evans, number 13, but he just ran right down the field here. And what happened was this guy trickled out and kind of came here, and that tempted the backer to jump him. And then the nickel should have done a better job of running with him and just kind of getting in this zone right here, trying to get in front of and in between the quarterback and the receiver. So linebacker bit up, so he was up in this area. And same thing with the nickel, he just kind of didn't run with him. And there was a huge wide open spot right here for him to complete that pass. And if the linebacker just gets underneath it, what happens is it makes the quarterback put a little bit of arc on the ball. So instead of just throwing a bullet in there that gets there in a hurry, he has to loft it a little bit, and that gives the safeties time to get there and make a play and maybe make a hit and get the ball out. So these are things that are pretty basic. And look, even NFL players make mistakes, just like high school football players do. And I'm sure that they'll get in film and clean these kinds of things up. But, you know, these are a couple of things where I think it's almost comforting that these things can be fixed. It's not about personnel. It's just about how they play these coverages. And hopefully they'll tighten that up before Monday Night Football against the 49ers.